Hello, and welcome to the Personify Leadership Podcast, the podcast where we explore the transformative journeys of leaders who have embraced the principles of Personify Leadership to drive success within their own organizations. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited for today's guest. This is Erin Radigan with National Lutheran, and I'm going to let Erin do a quick introduction on who she is and what drew them to Personify. Hi, Erin.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Wonderful. So I am Erin Radigan, and I am the Clinical Services Lead for National Lutheran Communities and Services. We're an organization in the DC metro area that has four continuing care retirement communities.
Okay.
So that's skilled nursing, assisted living, and independent living. And so I am the Clinical Services Lead for the organization. And we were attracted to Personify prior to me coming on board 4 years ago. But the drive and I think the attraction for Personify is that it's easily digestible.
Yeah.
It's basically you can take it, those 8 competencies, the body focused competencies, and it's easy to learn, and it really resounds with a lot of our leaders in our organization.
Yeah, that's great. You're one of our healthcare organizations that just love the model because, the different body focus competencies and the body metaphors just fit so nicely with what you do. As well as, it's just as you said, they're easy to remember. There's not a lot of complicated 4-letter acronyms and things like that you have to remember. And it's easy to remember, and then implement moving forward.
Yep.
So, Erin, you went through 4 years ago, and you're one of the certified trainers there at National Lutheran. So, give us an idea of what's the kind of the scope of how many leaders do you think, and since you've been on at least, that have been through Personify?
So our goal at National Lutheran Communities is to have all of our leadership positions go through Personify. So we want 100%. And our leaders include not just the leaders at the communities, at those CCRCs, but also our home office, so our corporate
Okay.
office leaders also. And so when we speak about leaders in our organization, participating in Personify Leadership, we are talking about executive level leadership as well as that middle level leadership. So some of our coaches that are out of the community who work with the frontline nursing team have the opportunity to go through Personify.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So, how about you personally? How has it impacted you personally since going through the program?
I'm the first to say I live Personify. Uh,
Oh, that's
so
great.
prior to actually taking Personify in the spring of 2021, when I came on board with National Lutheran Communities, um, one of the things that attracted me to Personify was specifically in the heart module.
Mm,
We talk about intentions and making your intentions known. And I have always been a leader who assumes the best intentions. And
mm,
I speak to that when I'm talking to my team. And so I think that really personally resounded with me
mhm.
because I try to live that life outside of work as well and assume the best intentions of everyone.
That's
Um, but there are some other takeaways, I think, from going through the program, the core program, as well as helping facilitate it, um, that I find resound personally in my personal life as well. Making sure in the feet module, making sure that I'm walking the walk. I'm doing
mm,
what I say.
yeah,
And I think also in the mind module, not worrying about things that are out of my control. So we
yeah.
talk about the locus of control
Yep.
and being able to pause and think and go, that's not in my ballpark. That's not in
Mm.
my control. So I'm going to put a pin in that and not worry about that at this point. So I have taken those tools and used it personally for sure.
That's so great. And I'm sure in your field, in your industry, I mean, you're a nurse yourself as well, right? And so, that emotional resiliency piece has got to be a large part of what you all do. And, with the clients that you serve and the families that you serve, that, you have to kind of know when to emotionally involved and emotionally connect, as well as when to stay a little bit more reserved and not go there as well. I'm sure that's a huge part of what you do.
Absolutely. That, and I also think having those courageous conversations.
Mm.
Majority of our residents are geriatric residents. And
Hmm.
so, speaking about end of life and having those difficult conversations, it is something that we do quite often.
Yeah.
So, relying on that spine of a leader and having those courageous conversations.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about, like, have you seen any shifts in culture at any of your facilities or just as the organization itself? Once leaders kind of go through Personify, have you seen any shifts in culture at all since once somebody goes through the Personify course?
Definitely, and I think willingness is a choice. I think those that come to Personify Leadership courses, when we facilitate them, I definitely think that those that have those aha moments,
Mm,
um, either through the experiential games that we play and making those connections, you can see that shift and you can see how they take it back to the communities and work with their team. And they share those aha moments. They
yeah.
share those, wow, I never thought of it this way. And those are the main shifts that I see in culture, is
Okay.
that awareness or that open up to say there's another way to look at things.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of those things when leaders like go through the course and then they really are working on it, you know, you can almost see them shifting some of their behaviors and implementing some of the things that they learned. I had the opportunity to come and facilitate a class there at National Lutheran recently, and there were a few of your leaders in the room that you could see those light bulbs go off, you could see those aha moments. And I would love to be a fly on the wall for a few of them, like when they went back and actually started implementing it, because they were very vocal about some of the things that really resonated with them. And so I would love to go back and just kind of see how often they're implementing those new skills that they learned.
And I think not only just the skills, but I think just the way of communication using the disc
Yeah.
reports with each other, and how we can have better communication knowing somebody's disc style and
Yeah.
that. And I have seen that after we have facilitated classes before.
Yeah, absolutely. DISC is one of those things that if people have not had exposure to any type of behavioral assessment before, and then they get their DISC result, it can be so mind-blowing that,
Mhm.
especially because when you read through your own personal profile, you're just like, oh my goodness, how it's so accurate for the most part on what your preferred behaviors are and how they show up in the world. So then when you then figure out how you need to change your communication style or the way that you work with somebody else, that somebody's a different style, that can be really eye-opening.
Absolutely. So we get a lot of requests after we teach a course, um, asking, what is so and so's disc style? What is
Oh,
so and so?
yeah.
They're always looking for that connection so they can speak to that.
What are you excited about in the next year with Personify and National Lutheran?
Excited to be able to roll out the deep dive program to those who have already taken Personify Leadership, the core courses,
Hmm.
and to make, I think right at this moment in time, we have 8 leaders that we still need to get through the Personified core to make it 100%, which we should
Nice.
be able to do by the end of the year. So we're excited about that, and to continue our 100% completion
Yeah.
for core and open up the deep dive.
That's great. That's great. And so we National Lutheran has actually been a host site for some of our courses with their proximity to Washington, D.C. and whatnot. It just makes for such a great second location for us because our main location is in Colorado, which kind of hits kind of that West Coast. And then for them to be one of our East Coast locations, it's a really nice partnership there. So we're looking forward to coming and offering a deep dive program because at this point, none of your staff have experienced deep dive yet. So it'll be great to get you and the other certified facilitators through the course, experience it for yourself, and then just to be able to dive deeper into those skills and just to see, I know that we're going to dive deeper into empathy and into psychological safety and all of those things and those competencies that are still going to be really relevant to leaders, no matter the organization, but for certain in National Lutheran communities as well.
Absolutely. I'm excited about the partnership too, Michelle. And I think you liked the conference area. It was a great space.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic.
Good.
Yeah. So, Erin, if you were to, kind of share with others, why should other companies, either in healthcare or any other industry, why should they possibly consider investing in Personify Leadership? What do you think are the benefits that you all get from having your leaders participate in the program?
I think it's definitely an easily digestible program. Once you go through it,
And
you'll
that brings us to the end of
understand
today's episode
how
of
easy
Leaders
it is and
Personified. I
relatable.
want to
It
extend a
makes sense.
heartfelt thank you to our guests for
The
sharing
8
their
body
inspiring journey
competencies, but
and
body focused
valuable
competencies
insights on how
make
Personify
sense.
Leadership has
And I think
impacted their
that connection
organization.
is made
If you enjoyed this
immediately.
episode, be
So
sure
it's
to subscribe to our
easy
podcast and leave a review.
to roll
Your
out.
feedback helps
People,
us bring more
I think
inspiring stories to
it
leaders
makes a
like you.
connection with
For
people,
more information
and
about Personify
in
Leadership and
common
how we
sense
can help
makes sense.
you develop
And
essential
so I
leadership
think that's the
skills,
key element.
visit our
And then
website
becoming a
at
facilitator is super easy.
www.personifyleadership.com. Join
Facilitator
us next
guide
time as we
that
continue
you
to
provide
explore the
us
transformative
is
power of
a
leadership
step by
and hear
step.
more success stories from
And
leaders who
so
are
there's
making a
really
difference.
it's a
Until
very
then, keep
easy
leading with heart. And remember,
training to pick
leadership
up.
is not a position
Yeah.
or a title.
And you all
It
have
is an
multiple
action
facilitators, so
and
you
example.
also
Thank
co-facilitate
you
it
for
when you can,
listening,
which
and
I
we'll
know
see you in the
is
next
very
episode
helpful
of
because
Leaders
there's 8
Personified.
modules. There's a lot of content to learn. And so if you do have the opportunity to co-facilitate, especially your first few, I know that is extremely helpful. And then you only have to really learn 4 modules to begin with. And then you can flip-flop and then teach the other 4 at a different time. So we have done that. We've had folks that have gotten sick, and so we have to switch and teach maybe 4 that we haven't taught before. But the facilitator guide that you provide us with makes it so much easier to do that. That's great. That's great. Well, Erin, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us and just kind of giving your point of view on Personify and how well it's working there at National Lutheran. We just appreciate you guys so much, and it's been a really long, fun partnership. And I just want to thank you for coming on and sharing a little bit with others. Absolutely, Michelle. It's been my pleasure.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode of Leaders Personified. I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to our guests for sharing their inspiring journey and valuable insights on how Personify Leadership has impacted their organization. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. Your feedback helps us bring more inspiring stories to leaders like you. For more information about Personify Leadership and how we can help you develop essential leadership skills, visit our website at www.personifyleadership.com. Join us next time as we continue to explore the transformative power of leadership and hear more success stories from leaders who are making a difference. Until then, keep leading with heart, and remember, leadership is not a position or a title. It is an action and example. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode of Leaders Personified.